instead of setting the goals like around your business, what do you want in life? What's the next thing in life that lights you up? When I was starting my business, I didn't understand network marketing, and in fact, I was very skeptical. I had bitter, like, not good feelings about network marketing because of how I was approached with certain things. But when I heard the possibility, when I heard what was possible, when I heard like what very normal people were doing, I was like, okay, so what would that look like for us? It wasn't hitting a certain rank. It wasn't becoming a top earner. It wasn't whatever. It was pay for JD's vet school loans, like his debt, so we can live where we want to live as a family. So we don't have to be following him, taking the highest paid job, which would have ended up in the Midwest. It was not business words that lit me up. It was life that lit me up. And I went, okay, I want this in life. Now, what does that mean? What does that correlate to within this business? What do I need to be making in order to make that a reality? And so lots of people get stuck in the business words, get stuck in the rank stuff, get stuck in the next promotion, whatever. But that's not exciting you. No crap. Nobody as a kid was like, I dream of being a 15 star. Like, no, you don't. You dream of doing life stuff.
Welcome back to the Justin Prince Show. I am your host, Justin Prince. Man, I'm so excited for you guys to meet an incredible woman that I think she's kind of encapsulated this idea of like, how do you get it all done? Like, how do you be a mom of six? How do you run a farm, for crying out loud? How do you run a multiple seven-figure a year business? How do you actually, in her case, run multiple businesses and run an amazing marriage and then stay in great shape? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you do all this stuff and like stay, dialed in your faith and just all the stuff? And, how do you get it all done at the same time and do it at a really high level? And what I love about Micah Folsom that I think you'll grasp is she would say, like, I'm just a normal person. I don't think anyone that can do what she does is normal. She's like a high achiever at the highest level. But she's like a normal person like you and I, and she's learned these incredible like high performance skills that she's put into all of these different areas of her life. And in the process has created just a really kind of an amazing life. Almost like one of those lives you look at and you're like, oh, I wish I had that life. I wish I was out on the farm and just like living this like kind of natural life with my kids, So she and her husband are cattle ranchers. They live in southeast Idaho. She has 6 children. 4 of them are redheads, so she's got a little bit of fire in the family. And she actually is a top leader in the direct selling network marketing space and has built a multiple 7-figure business there. She also is the host of the Do Your Crap podcast. I was on her podcast. We had a great conversation. She's a really high level as a conversationalist as well. And she's a creator of her program for network marketers called Ignite Your Life, and recently helping her husband JD with their Folsom farm homegrown beef direct to consumer business. So I'll just give a quick plug. Anyone that follows me knows I love steaks. This is like this is my celebration meal. Go have a delicious steak. So they actually package up this like delicious, healthy steak, and then they'll send it to you, each month. And she sent me some of her stuff after our podcast. I was like, it was so good. My family was just all about it. So she's a huge believer that women can live multi-passionate lives and still honor their family values, that each of us have tug on our hearts and pave a way to live our fullest potential and be the light we were meant to be. So, man, I am so excited to have you on. Micah, thank you for making time. So excited that you're here. And let's just kind of dive in. How in the world do you get all this stuff done? How do you pull all this stuff off? Like, how's that for a broad question?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to be here. I loved having you on the show. And this conversation I know is going to be just so much fun. So I'm excited to be here. To answer that easily, I don't do it all. So I've gotten really good over the years about honing in on what do I want to do? What am I good at? What brings me joy? What brings me fire? What helps me feel fulfilled? And how can I do those things? And then what are all of the things that still need to get done, but don't need to get done by me? And so by clearing out a lot of the I should do this, that's given me space to do exactly what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, all of that. And so I think that more than anything else has been like the secret to being able to quote unquote do it all, is that I don't. But it's really honing in on just what excites me and what aligns with our life and what aligns with our values and all of that, and making space for those things.
I think one of the things that all high achievers seem to have, and you definitely have this, is clarity. And I think one of the biggest things that people struggle with is like, man, I'm just a little unclear. In your case, you have clarity on your values. You have clarity on your principles. You have clarity on the things that fire you up and like give you energy versus, suck your will to live. I think a lot of times we just do this stuff and we're just kind of grinding and we don't stop to say, is this a subtraction or an addition in my life,
Yeah.
And then even this idea of getting really clear on what your gifts and talents are, kind of where you shine. Is there any like strategies that you've done to just slow down and gain clarity? Like how do you teach people that you work with to start gaining some clarity on these different kind of key areas of their life?
Well, I think paying attention to just those internal natural feelings and emotions is huge. I think a lot of people just kind of go on autopilot or like check the box, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. Where it's like, no, you just like you said, you generate energy every single day doing certain things, focusing on certain things, thinking about certain things. And then there's other things that when it's on your to-do list or when it's on your calendar, you're like, ugh, gotta do that or whatever. And you got to pay attention to that stuff. And I think I've gotten really good at doing that, just really listening to my intuition and helping people open up their minds to the idea of, you don't have to do this how I do it. You don't have to do this how so-and-so says they got success. Like you got to figure out how you want to do it and having freedom around that. And especially in speaking of the network marketing space specifically, and this goes for business in every area, but really there are things that kind of are the pathway to success. There's things that need to get done. There's things that need to get done and you're not going to want to do them, but you can figure out how to do them differently so that it feels a little bit better. It brings a little bit more joy. It brings a little bit more fire. It doesn't feel so out of alignment that you're like, oh gosh, and you have that friction every single day. And so really paying attention to those things, and instead of running away from them, instead of being like, okay, well, I don't like to invite, or I don't like to recruit, or I don't like to whatever, instead of being like, well, so I'm just not going to do that because that's essential for success. How can I do it differently? How can I talk about this? How can I invite people? How can I? And so it's really just staying curious and open and figuring crap out. Like helping my people do that process is really important to me because I want them to love the process of the work. I want them to fall in love with the work, and then the success comes. But if they're just grabbing at the quick fixes and the things that so-and-so said worked for them, but it feels off, that's never going to work. And if you hate the work, you're going to run away and you're never going to do the things that it takes to be consistent. So that's one of the things I really focus on is like, how can I help you love the process for work, for motherhood, for whatever it is that I'm working with you in. It's possible. It's possible to love the work. And when you can do that, it's like magic.
Yeah, Mike Tyson said once, he said, discipline is doing the things you hate to do, but doing them like you love them. It's like those early mornings you don't want to go for the run, but you wake up and go for the run and you find joy in that process somehow, that is real discipline. Let's talk about this idea of like, you don't try and get it all done yourself. How are you creating that leverage where who's doing that work that you don't want to do? Like when in other words, not like you're willing to do the hard work you don't want to do. I get that part, but like, when you're like, yo, it's not my giftedness, I'm gonna have someone else. How do you create the system and how do you create the shift for you to say, I'm gonna have someone else do that, and then who do you either employ, or do you have the kids help you, or how do you get the work done that still, needs to get done? It's just the work that you don't want to do yourself.
Yeah, so it started really small, really minute, and I had to break through a lot of limiting beliefs around this stuff because when I came into this, little backstory, I never wanted to work. I went to college to play volleyball on a scholarship and was like, sweet, I'll go to school, I'll get to play volleyball, I'll meet a husband and check. We'll have a family and I'll be a mom forever. Never wanted to work a day in my life. And then I became a mom. And then I was like, gosh, there's like a part of me missing. I was always an athlete. I always had goals I was working on. I was always challenging myself. And not that motherhood isn't challenging. It is the hardest thing I will ever do in my life. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't me like growing and developing, and I missed that. And so that's what kind of got me into like, well, let me try something outside of motherhood. And I got into photography and I started to learn that and all of the things. And then I found network marketing within Body. And that was like what helped me really grow and expand. But I had these beliefs that in order to be a good mom, you don't work. In order to be a good mom, you only do stuff for your kids. In order to be a good mom, I had all of these beliefs coming into it. And so I had to be like, okay, wait, but hold on. Why am I feeling these tugs if I want to be a good mom, of course, but I also want these things and I also want these things. And so it was like I had to figure my own ish out first in order to then be like, okay, well, I do believe that like the home is part of a mother's role. That's part of like taking care of the home. But do I have to do all the cleaning? No, I just want the clean house. Cleaning doesn't make me a good mom. Having a clean home and a tidy space where we can like make memories and feel the spirit and all those things, that's important, but I don't have to do it. So that was the first thing that I delegated was a house cleaner one time a month to do the deep cleaning. And it was when we were in the middle of vet school. We did not have extra money, but I was building my business. And so I was like, okay, if while she's here, I can be very focused and move my business forward, then I can cover that cost. And so I was really intentional about if I delegate something, I'm not just taking it off my plate, but I'm going to move something forward in the process. And so that's the first thing I delegated. The next thing was like admin stuff within my business. I was doing all the leaderboards. I was doing all the recognition. I was doing all of those things that are great to have in your system and in your ecosystem, but doesn't need to be done by me. So then I literally hired a VA for like 1 to 2 hours a week to just do that stuff. And it was like not just freeing up that time, but freeing up that emotional energy of like that, I have to do this. That's the stuff that I was just kind of like really in tune with and was like, okay, if I can pay someone $10, $15 an hour to get this done, in those 2 hours, what else can I do? I can go recruit. I can go mentor my team. I can go do something way more powerful. And so those are the things that I did. So I hired a VA to do like the admin back end stuff. And then when we moved to our home here in Idaho, I had a baby and we were, 3 years into this. And so I had a big team at that point and I was spending a lot of time and energy like building, and it was hard to keep up on the house stuff. So immediately when I came here, this is the first time that I delegated anything along the lines of like motherhood with my kids, because it took a long time to figure this stuff out for me. But I had my baby and I would have a girl come in, and she happened to just have a boy that was similar ages to my son. And so she would bring him with her and she would clean the house and she would just tidy up. She did the tidy up stuff, the kitchen, the laundry, the whatever, the day-to-day stuff. And she would come for like 2 hours a day. Well, as my son got a little bit older, he's wild. He's one of my wild child. And so I was like, gosh, it is literally impossible for me to get anything productive done while he's like in everything. So when she came with her son, he would play with him. And I'm like, I can get so much done in 2 hours, like way more than I get done trying to fit it in all throughout the day otherwise. And so that's why I'm like, why am I feeling like I can't have anyone help with my kids when I can be fully in my business for a couple hours and fully momming the other 22? I'm like, that's way better, and it's better for them. So then I started to do that. So now we have a nanny helper that comes in 7 to 2, Monday through Friday. And it is like when everything productive in life happens. That's when I work. That's when I make my appointments. It's when I do anything that I don't want to do with kids. It's when I have my me time in the gym and work out and do my business. And then I'm like fully off after that. And so it's just kind of been gradual over time, but it's been like, what do I need in this season to continue to move our life forward, to continue to move our goals forward and stay aligned with my values as a mom and all that stuff. And it's not like I don't see my kids all from 7 to 2. They're in and out all the time. I'm with them a lot of the times. But if I have to schedule something, it gets done then. And I don't have to worry about like juggling the kids and all that stuff. So, and then I have an operations manager now who's full time with me. So she does a ton of the back end stuff. So I literally work probably 2 2 to 3 hours maybe a day, and then everything else is like life stuff, what I want to be doing, making sourdough bread, like all of the things that are important to me in this season of life. So it's been a gradual thing.
Yeah, and listen, whether you're running a massive corporation right now, whether you're just getting a business started, these principles are the principles. This is how you create, it's what I call the ILI formula. So it's income, lifestyle, impact. How do you increase your income and increase your lifestyle? So in other words, you love your life more, because the goal is not just to make more money, the goal is to love your life as well. And then also, how do you impact more people's lives? And oftentimes those compete against each other. In other words, income goes up, lifestyle goes down. Or income goes up, lifestyle goes up, but you're like off not impacting more people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're not certain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how do you do all three? You do all three through two things, through teams and through systems. You've got to build the right team and you got to build the right systems. And that's what you've done. And you've leveraged this concept. It's what I call the HIAs, your highest impact actions. It's like, remember when I first heard the 80-20 principle? So 20% of what you do produces 80% of the impact in your marriage, 80% of the impact in your fitness, 80% of the impact in your spiritual life, 80% of the impact in your business, for example. I remember thinking, okay, if 20% produces 80, then what does 10% produce? And it produces 90. And what does 5% produce? It produces 95. So you leverage the curve.
Yeah.
And you call what I call your 5 HIAs, your highest impact actions in those key areas. And the rest of the stuff, my friends, you create teams and you create systems, those kind of standard operating procedures or systems, right, to help you to leverage to get it all done. And Micah, the way that you've done that is just genius. And I love how you started kind of small. I want to ask you this though. How did you get past some of that mental stuff? You know, what we believe matters. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times one of the biggest hurdles we have is us, you know, it's just like we get so in our heads, you know? So I have two parts on this one. How'd you get past the, like, if I'm running a business, I'm not being a good mom, but kind of that part. I think a lot of women struggle with that. And then, you know, a man would say, God, you know, here I am at the office grinding. I should be with my family. And then with your family, you're not with your, you know, you're not at the office, that kind of thing. How did you get through that? And I also want to ask a second question on that. Did you have any money stuff in your brain? You know, the money stuff is like it's bad to be successful or whatever. Did you have any, I don't know, how did you work through some of those?
Yeah, so...
What's up, cutie?
Okay, pause, hold on. Okay, it's okay that he is. Okay, he'll get off in a sec, but I gotta finish this. Love you. Yeah, you will. Okay, I'll deal with it after.
Welcome
Go to the
my
gym.
world.
Okay. So a couple things. A lot of the mom stuff at the beginning, I got through because the work that I was doing in my work, moving my body, taking care of myself, the personal growth, that was helping me become a better mom. It was literally equipping me to do my biggest calling, my highest calling, the thing that was most important to me. I would be a completely different mother if I did not commit and embrace these new habits, this new lifestyle, these new things. And I believe that it was definitely a God thing that he knew, Micah, you need this in order to do what I really need you to do within your home.
Wow.
And so when I gained that clarity, I was like, okay, let's freaking go. Because no longer is it like two separate things. I'm not building my business or being a mom. I am building my business and working on myself and empowering women to do everything else that they want to do in life that's most important. And so it just became cohesive. And when I got rid of that friction, it got rid of those beliefs like right away.
Okay, so I had a gal hit me once. We were marketing products online. Our products specifically were like health and beauty products, right? And this particular woman had done a really great job of building an audience in the fashion world. So like Instagram influencer fashion. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, she goes, I don't know how to like market kind of like nutritional products under my fashion brand. And here's what I shared with her. I said, like rise up out of fashion, rise up to like the 30,000 foot view. And I was like, what are you really helping women to do? And she goes, I go, you're helping them to like have more confidence, right? Like the fashion helps them look cuter and funner, and they go on the date and their husband's like, man, you look great. And they feel better. They just feel better. Like they're building confidence. She goes, yeah, that's fair. And I was like, what if under this umbrella of like, I help women to build their confidence, you like had fashion and then like another angle of like wellness and nutrition and helping them to live their best life. So it's almost like when she raised up to 30,000 feet, she's like, oh, I could easily fit that in. I feel like that's kind of what you did. Like, you're like, yo, what's my overall vision goal? And can this fit into like making me a better overall person for the bigger vision? Is that kind of a fair way of how you did it?
100. Yeah, totally. And that's every aspect of it. It's like, I feel like anytime we have resistance and friction, there's a way around it, but we've got to figure out where it fits. We've got to figure out, okay, how does this serve the higher goal, the bigger purpose, the thing? And even in any industry, if you're in sales, like, you're selling a product, but what are you actually selling? You're selling a service, but what are you actually selling? It's like, it's always that. And as soon as you get clear on that and the mission and the bigger purpose, it's like so easy to then have belief and confidence in what you're trading in exchange for money, right? So yeah, that was huge. And I definitely also had money stuff. I had
Like money,
some money mindset
issues, let's call it.
Yep. Yeah. So I grew up in a single income home. My dad worked. My mom always stayed home. So that was part of my mom issues. I was like, my mom was a wonderful mom and she was always there for me. She did everything for me. So I had to like overcome that I could be a good mom and do other things. But the money stuff, they're very frugal. They live within their means. They're very financially, like safe, but not overly like wealthy or secure or whatever. Money was always a stress. It was always a friction point. They would fight over it, all of these things. And so I had a lot of money stuff coming into it. I was very frugal, very tight, very like scarcity mindset, very much so. And actually one of the biggest pivotal moments of my life and things that I think back on often, we had a family member who was sick, and JD's family was coming together to send them money for Christmas. And no, this is two different stories. It happened two different times, and I had like the same thing. So he had lost his job. They're pulling money together to send them money for Christmas. And we were in college. I think we had our first baby at that point. We were just finishing up school. We didn't have extra by any means. And JD was like, oh yeah, of course, we'll send him $250. I was so pissed. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? We do not have an extra $250. And I think about that a lot because I couldn't care about anyone else because I was so stressed about taking care of my people. And who wants to live like that? Like, I was such a brat. And like, as I look back I was so selfish and all of those things, but it's because I was so clinging to everything so tightly. And I remember being like, I never want to feel like this. I want to be able to give freely. I want to be able to contribute. I want to be able to, if someone needs something, like, I'm here to help. And that is one of the things that when the opportunity came into my life and I was like, wait a sec, but I don't want to work. I don't want to make money. I saw the possibility and that opened up, like, but it could unlock a different life for us. It could unlock more possibility, more choice, less stress, less whatever. And I wanted that so badly. So that was one of the things, like the money stuff I had to break through. And then I had some like, wealthy people are greedy, wealthy people are jerks, wealthy people are whatever, just because of some people that I knew. And then I got around wealthy people who are freaking rad, wealthy people who are so giving, wealthy people who are the nicest, like most hardworking. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's not actually how it goes. So yeah. I just had to get in a different room, in a different circle, and surround myself with those types of people. And as soon as I saw that proof, I was like, oh wait, all right, new story. This one's yes. Much more fun.
Yes. Yeah. I teach, one of the chapters in my book is to update your identity.
Yeah.
And if you could think back to like when telephones were first invented, this is just a kind of a silly analogy or a way to think about it. They would call into a switchboard. So like you would call in and you'd be like, yeah, can I talk to my sister in Chicago? And they'd be like, yeah, hold on. And they would
connect you.
Find on the switchboard like these cables, and they would like grab it from here and they would like plug it into your sister in Chicago and it'd ring. You'd be like, are you there? She's like, yeah, I can hear you. And I think I've looked at times where I'm like, my wiring was all screwed up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd be like, why is that plugged in there? And I had to grab it and like plug it in the right spot. And you almost have to update your identity a little bit. I think a lot of people that I talk to, in some of the teams that I've built, people I've worked with around the world, they have this, it's like 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake when it comes to building success. And one of the brakes, like one of the reasons they're pressing on the brake, is just like this stuff in their mind that like, if I become, wealthy or successful, or if I have money, it's going to mean these things for me. And one of the things that I have kind of observed, Micah, is that money itself is neutral. So in other words, I feel like money sometimes is like, why am I getting a bad rap? I'm just neutral. So money is an amplifier. It basically, like, if you're a great person, you'll like be a greater person. Like, you'll serve at a higher level. If you're a complete dirtball, you'll probably be a bigger dirtball the more money you have.
Yeah. And
so it's kind of it amplifies kind of who you are. But money itself is not bad or good. It's just sort of neutral. And then you get to use it as a tool to do more good, to serve at a higher level. I've had people that were spiritual mentors of mine. I never would have met them if they hadn't had been wonderfully successful in their careers, because they just wouldn't have had that time, to be able to go be a spiritual mentor. So I think having some of these updates, you update your identity. You don't anchor down. Tell people, loosely hold strong opinions. It's cool to have a strong opinion, but be open to like updating. You know what I'm saying? Like, your phone needs to get updated every once in a while. You probably need to update your brain every once in a while. From some of the stuff we've anchored in since we were 7, or we anchored in since we were 11, or anchored in since we were 17. Walk us through like day in the life of, right? So walk us through day in the life of the farm, walk us through day in the life of your fitness, your, raising the kids. Like, walk us through what your day looks like. What time are you waking up? And just kind of walk us through what that day looks like.
Like at this point in my life, it has looked so different over the years. So, right now, so I'm a big fan of morning routines, big fan of like set the tone, do something hard in the morning so you can win the day. So for a lot of years, that looked like 5 a.m. That looked like wake up before the kids, get my stuff done, move forward. Now we homeschool. We don't have to be on the bus at 7 a.m. I have a newborn. I'm up multiple times a night. So I sleep in until like 7 a.m.-ish, 6:45-ish. And then at that point, my nanny helper is coming at 7. And so I feed the baby. I wake up. I have like a routine in the morning. I listen to this app called Growth Day. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, of course.
So good. So I listen to Growth Day as I make my pre-workout, go out to the gym. That's like my me time. That is what I get my workout in. I do something in my business. I'm mentoring my team for a little bit. I post on social. I get something up there. At that point, I can come back into the home and be like, okay, I did productive things today. So no matter what happens in life, I at least did some fundamental things. I took care of me. I took care of my business. And then I homeschool as well. And so we have a couple hours that we spend on, it's not usually a couple hours that I have to be doing stuff. I just kind of oversee the big kids and then help with the littles. So the littles don't take long. So, but we have our little homeschool time.
What is the range in age right now?
From 7 months to 14. Wow. So, yeah. So we do school, and then depending on what the day looks like, that's when I'll either have mentor calls with my team, maybe a podcast, maybe I'm going to Costco and meal prepping and spending time doing that stuff. But I have until 2 at that point to just do whatever needs to get done. Maybe I'm baking bread or making something, like I'm really into that right now. And so we do that. And then at 2, my nanny helper leaves, and that's when it's just mom time. We're doing whatever, running kids at activities, doing things, going to whatever, making dinner, hanging out. Like my after the nanny leaves is so low key, like chill. Like we've done everything that we need to do that's productive, and it's running kids around to sports or just hanging out as a family or doing whatever. But it's like, I'm just kind of enjoying life. So
is a lot of the farm work, the actual
that's
work
JD.
on the farm? So JD's mainly knocking that stuff out.
So yeah, so my kids feed in the morning and night, and then JD does all the stuff with the cows. But we also have a ranch hand that works full time that does a lot of the day-to-day feeding and things like that, because my husband still works full time as a vet. So yeah, so the farm stuff is kind of seasonal when JD has to be more hands-on while they're calving and while they're doing things like that. When they're just feeding and grazing, then we have a ranch hand that does that stuff. And then the kids feed the chickens and the horses and some bowls every morning and night. So that's about it.
Cool.
I just enjoy, I just get to enjoy the aftermath of the farm life, the eggs and the meat and the whatever. And I facilitate the situation.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up is I knew you were going to get into habits and routines and patterns. Like I tell people, you are not what you did, but you are what you repeatedly do. And so we all make mistakes. We all have an off day. We all aren't our best at all times. I get it. But how you repeatedly show up. So Aristotle says excellence, which is kind of like, I think for all of us, it's kind of the goal. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit. He says, therefore, you are what you repeatedly do. So it's these habits and disciplines. And you talked about, you played college volleyball, is that right?
Yeah.
And then quickly talk about your husband's football career, because I mean your kids are like, I already want to like be an agent for your kids. I want to start an agency right now for the Folsom kids.
Oh yeah. No, he played college football and then he went on and played in the NFL for a couple years before vet school. So yeah.
What position did he play?
He was a linebacker.
Yeah, don't mess with a rancher linebacker. That's
right.
They shouldn't break into your house. So to be an athlete at that level, like to be a college athlete, in his case, to be a professional athlete, it just stuff just does not happen by accident. Like success will not attack you. Like good things don't just happen all of a sudden by accident. So is that where you feel like you started learning like the power of the routines and the habits and the disciplines from your kind of your athletic background? Is that where it started for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the discipline developed with sports for sure. I wasn't really that into routines until I started building my business and had kids. I was like, okay, if I don't have some structure and if I don't have something where it's like, no matter what gonna happen, it's never gonna happen. And so that's when I was like, really got into the morning routine situation, because I was a hot mess before. I'm like, I was waiting for it to fit in. I was waiting for a convenient time. I was waiting for the perfect whatever. And I was like, that's never gonna happen. So that's when I developed the morning routine and really taking care of what's most important and what moved the needle forward in some capacity, so that I could at least have forward momentum every single day, no matter what else happened the rest of the day. And then anything extra I could fit in was just moving us closer to our goals. And I got really good at asking myself, is this moving us closer to our goals or is it moving us further away? And this was when we were in the middle of vet school and JD was gone all day. Okay, let's talk about how he is as a human. He graduated number 1 in his class. Like, the dude does not do anything like mediocre. He is like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it. I'm going to do the best. Like, that's just who he is. And so he was gone all the time. Vet school was number 1. And he obviously still showed up for us at nighttime. But like, I had to figure out, okay, I got 2 little kids. I want to build this business. I also have a photography business. How am I going to do it? And that's when I was like, okay, I got to figure out this structure. I got to figure out no matter what. And I got to be disciplined with this. And I've got to sacrifice some sleep. And I've got to sacrifice my Netflix shows. And I've got to sacrifice these things that, yeah, I want them in my life. But right now for this season, they're not that important. They're not moving us closer to our goals. They're not helping us become who we want to be and whatever. And asking myself that question made it just so black and white. It's either moving us closer or it's not. It's either aligned with my values or it's not. And so I cleared off the crap that was not. I put on the stuff that was. And it just set our days up with purpose and with intention. And we got into the routine of just living that life, living with intention every day, living with purpose every day, prioritizing what's important, clearing out what's not. And that made success feel easy. It really did. It made it feel like, okay, this has a flow. It has a rhythm. It's like gradual growth. And we were kind of just like in our sweet spot. And I think that's kind of a place where a lot of people don't let themselves get to, because they're trying something for a little bit of time, and then it's not working. So they're trying something else, and then they're doing this, and then they aren't consistent enough. So they never reap the benefits of their actual actions. And so it's like, figure out what you want, that clarity. Be disciplined and be willing to sacrifice the crap that does not matter. You got to get clear on that stuff and make the trade-offs. Put in the stuff that matters. Take out the stuff that doesn't. You're not adding things onto your plate without clearing stuff off, so that you kind of have that equilibrium and you're not overwhelmed and you're not exhausted and all the things that so many people run into. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of times the saying no is saying yes, right? You're
Oh,
saying
yeah.
no to the Netflix show, or no to, like, you're clearing this stuff off. Again, your ability to create clarity of what you're looking to accomplish, I think, is one of your real unique powers. You just, like, because it feels like you were course correcting as you went, but you ultimately were, like, you're really clear on the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
And the clarity on the prize allowed you to kind of course correct here, course correct there, like, get this off my plate, add that on. My friends, life's about trades. Listen, you know, when you hear Micah's story, it's one of those things of, like, you can have it all. You can have the, like, ranch and the kids and the marriage and the fitness and the business. Like, okay, that's fair. but there's so many trades that she made, and so much sacrifice that happened, of where she didn't. Listen, I tell people, if you know more about your sports team, their stats and all of their, like, what's happening than you know about your own financial situation, or if you know more about, like, the Kardashians or the local, or the most popular show, you know, series, than you know about you know, your business and, like, what's going on with your team and what's going on in your, like, or your fitness, or these kind of key performance indicators. If you know more about all that stuff than you know about your own highest impact actions, the things that really move your life forward, you've got to sacrifice something. You know, you got to give some of that stuff away, and you can't actually have it all. You can't be go skiing every single day and then also be a 1%er in your profession. Like, you got to sacrifice some stuff, you know? So you to me are such a great example of staying clear on the things you ultimately want, getting kind of crystal clear there, course correcting as you go, but then just sacrificing the stuff that in those seasons wasn't that important. And to your point, it took you away. It took you away from the ultimate goal, and having the discipline to do that. That is a really incredible lesson, you know, an incredible example that you set doing that. I'm going to post in the show notes. You actually created a workshop for morning routines. So in other words, to help somebody, you know, specifically with their morning routines. But share with us just kind of, you know, I hear this, I'm inspired, you know, I want to get better. What would be maybe one or two, just some key ones for you where you say, all right, start here, download the workshop, you know, get it all, but start here, and these will be the ones that will have a huge amount of instant impact in your life.
Yeah, I mean, get the workshop for sure, because it walks you through building your own. And one of the most important things is not creating a checklist of things you have to do. Because if you create a checklist of things you have to do, the second you can't do it, you feel like a failure. So it's like opposite effect. You want to set your morning up to create the feelings that you want to feel. And so in order to do that, I take care of my mind. I get excited about my goals. I get excited about the vision that I have for my life. I take care of my body. I move it. I generate the energy. I don't wait to feel motivated. I don't wait to feel whatever. I generate that every single day. I take care of my faith, my spirit, because that's obviously another thing that's important. So everybody's going to have those different things. I take care of something in my business. I move something forward so that I do a hard thing first, so I don't have to wait for it and have that nagging over my head for the whole entire day. So that's going to look very different for a lot of people. And that's the beauty of it. It's like, what is the right thing for you to set you up in all of these different areas that'll prime you to go live your best life, to feel your best, to be your best. And it's not hard stuff, and it doesn't have to take hours, and it doesn't even have to happen at 5 a.m. And I talk about that in the workshop. Like, a morning routine doesn't mean you're waking up 18 hours before everyone else. Like, you can do it whenever it works, but you should set yourself up every single day with something that's going to move you forward, and that in the workshop will help you do that.
I've actually never heard it taught that way. You know, normally a morning routine, to your point, is like, hey, first thing you do is this, and the second thing you do, and third thing you do is drink your water, and then listen to some positive, which all those things are great. But to your point, man, again, I go back, maybe one of your unique skills as a coach is clarity. It's like helping people gain clarity. Because your first thing is like, what do you want? What emotions are you looking to feel? Like, you're helping them to uncover this clarity of like, yo, what are you looking to accomplish? Before I give you the prescription, let me ask a few questions to diagnose.
Yeah.
That is so important, my friends. And again, we'll put that in the show notes, you know, across all platforms, to where you guys can go click on that and make sure you start gaining that clarity. As a leader, your job is to provide clarity for people. Like, here's where we are, and here's where we're going. And Micah, again, that is really just listening to you and like getting to know you. You're unique. kind of skill sets and giftingness is you have a lot of clarity, and I think that's one of your things that you're great at helping people to do, is
Thank
to
you.
understand here's what you're looking to go accomplish.
Yeah, well, I think, like, to your point, there's a million different things out there, like, about everything, about success, about morning routines, about this. There's always going to be someone who says, this is it, this is the way to do it. But it's like, but where do you want to go? Like, they don't know where you want to go when they're telling you this is it. So that's one of the things that I realized with the morning is it doesn't have to be like, for the stay-at-home mom that is surrounded by kids all day. Maybe she doesn't have to feel super inspired and passionate about whatever. Maybe she needs more joy and more patience and more peace. So she's doing things in the morning to set herself up for that. And that's very different than like the CEO who's about to slay the world and whatever. Like, they're going to need some different things. So I do think I've never even like thought about that I just do things a little bit differently. But yeah, that's just always what's worked for me and what I can help with other people do, no matter what path they're on, no matter what their goals are. They've got to get clear on that. And it's always a personal thing, like always.
How do you help people get, use the term unstuck. So in other words, like, they hear this and they're just super like inspired by your story and inspired by like these actions that you've taken over the years to create this incredible life that you've created. So on one hand, they're super inspired. On the other hand, they're like, oh, like I'm like I feel stuck right now, in my business, or I'm not taking the action. I leave this and I'm inspired, but I don't take action. I don't improve. What are some of the steps that you encourage them to do to, like, all right, let's go. Let's get you going. Like, let's get you, like, build some momentum. Like, what are some of those steps that you would encourage them to do?
Oh gosh. I think first and foremost, figuring out, like, have the target, know what you want, know what gets you excited. I think a lot of people feel stuck because they just settle. They start to settle. They don't hit their goals year after year after year. So why continue to set them? Why continue to set the same goals? Whatever. Instead of setting the goals like around your business, what do you want in life? What's the next thing in life that lights you up? Like, perfect example, when I was starting my business, I didn't understand network marketing. And in fact, I was very skeptical. I had not good feelings about network marketing because of how I was approached with certain things. But when I heard the possibility, when I heard what was possible, when I heard like what very normal people were doing, I was like, okay, so what would that look like for us? It wasn't hitting a certain rank. It wasn't becoming a top earner. It wasn't whatever. It was pay for JD's vet school loans, like his debt, so we can live where we want to live as a family. So we don't have to be following him, taking the highest paid job, which would have ended up in the Midwest. It was not business words that lit me up. It was life that lit me up. And I went, okay, I want this in life. Now, what does that mean? What does that correlate to within this business? What do I need to be making in order to make that a reality? And so lots of people get stuck in the business words, get stuck in the rank stuff, get stuck in the next promotion, whatever. But that's not exciting you. No crap. Nobody as a kid was like, I dream of being a 15 star. Yeah. Like, no, you don't. You dream of doing life stuff. So what is that stuff? And getting clear around those things. And then how does it align with your business? What do you need to move forward? What benchmarks do you need to hit? How does that become a reality for you? So that's probably what I would say. Step one is get clear on what you want out of life again, what fires you up, what just gets you excited to wake up early and get out of bed. And then what is that going to take in your business? Like, having the pathway is essential, because I think a lot of people feel stuck because they're like, well, yeah, I want all these big goals. I don't know how those are going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to make all that money all of a sudden. I don't know how, So having the pathway, having the vehicle to then bring those to life is step two, is essential. And then if you have that, what are the benchmarks? What are the goals? What are the actions that you can take today that are going to move you forward? Because action is what generates the energy, the excitement, the confidence. So we've got to just get back into action. Like, if you're feeling stuck and you haven't been doing things, get back to doing the things, and you'll start to feel the excitement again.
I want to ask you your take on this. So when I hear you say, like, what fires you up, and when I hear back to, like, when you were saying that there were some things you took off your plate, and there's some things you added onto your plate because you have some, overall clarity what you're looking to accomplish. So the word passion, like, I want to ask you if this is okay. What if you change the word fired up for passions? And it doesn't have to change it, meaning just, it's like another way to say it. It's another like way to illustrate it. So this is a way to think about it. The word passion, I think we also, we think of like, I'm passionate, or I am like, the word passion means to suffer for or to suffer with. So like a mother has passion for her baby. How do you know that? Because she's willing to suffer for that child. She's willing to suffer for the 9 months. She's willing to suffer to give birth. She's willing to suffer to raise. Like, that's why a mother loves the child. Like in the Christian world, they talk about the passion of the Christ. It's basically the suffering of Christ. It's like Christ loved the world so much, he gave the ultimate passion, the ultimate suffering for everyone. To me, as I think about like the way that you have built your life, it was like you gained so much clarity on what you were looking to do, and then you said, you know what, I'm willing, this is my passion. Like I'm willing to suffer and like give this up and give that up and give this up and then take these consistent actions. Why? Because, you've used the term fired up and so on, but it was like you just had deep passion for your values, deep passion for your vision for your life. Is that a fair, is the word passion an additional way to think about the way that you would process? In other words, these are the things that you're willing to go for and like willing to fight for. Is that a way that you would think about it?
Yeah. And I think it also like has to go to the next level. So at first, thinking back to my own journey, at first I was very passionate about creating a life for our family, getting financially secure, getting ahead, creating some cushion, like starting to invest, starting to do those things that were not on the radar before. And as soon as we got to a really good place and we're like, okay, we're doing these things, we've hit the goals, it would have been really easy to kind of just cut the cord and be like, well, we're just going to coast now. But then that passion went on to, I want other women to have this freedom, have this clarity, have this joy, have this whatever it is. And so you've got to have, it's like the twofold. You've got to have your goals and the things that you're passionate about, but then you have to extend that passion to the people you're serving and the people and the impact you want to make. Because if that's missing, you will hit a wall and then you'll be like, gosh, I'm burnt out. I lost the joy. I lost the excitement. And it's because you stop caring about the next level of impact that you can make. And so I think that's a really crucial piece of continuing to grow and continuing to evolve. Because you're gonna hit your goals. You're gonna hit the goals that got you started and got you excited at the beginning. And then what? So that's another thing I think that has kept me, because I can honestly say 100%, I have never felt burnout. I have never felt like I'm over this, I'm whatever. In 10 years of freaking doing the same thing, essentially, like that's crazy to me. But I love it today just as like probably way more than I loved it when I started. And that I think is part of the kind of the secret sauce, is having the you stuff, but then having the stuff that you get to serve and give and help elevate other people's lives as well.
Yeah, it's like you dreamed a dream that inspired you, in essence, inspired you for your family. But then what you really did is you did the next level. It's like the great level of all great dreamers. You dreamed a dream that inspired others. When Walt Disney created Disney, it was Steamboat Willie. If you can think back to like with a pencil and a paper, it was like this little like Steamboat Willie, this little mouse and a pencil. But then that turned into like Epcot centers in Japan. What I'm saying? Like Disney Cruise Lines. Like Walt didn't dream those dreams, but he created an environment where he dreamed a dream big enough to inspire him. He dreamed a dream big enough to inspire others, and then he allowed people to dream within the dream. In other words, like they could accomplish their dreams, their goals, within the kind of dream he created, it was big enough to allow other people to do it. And that's what's happened, even with your business. Your business has had other people that have been able to accomplish their dreams and their goals within the dream that you had, both originally for yourself and your family, but then ultimately you dreamed a dream big enough to inspire others. And it's a really, really, cool thing to watch. So, listen, I have loved both of my times with you, and where can we get connected with you? How do we get your beef? They've got to get your beef. So I was just at a men's retreat, and this guy he came from the ranching world with chickens, with pigs, with cows, etc. He's up in Canada, and I'm talking like on a mass scale, right? His family had been around it for like hundreds of thousands of chickens, for example.
Oh my gosh!
And he just goes, dude, he goes, the stuff you find at the store, he's like, if you knew, you just wouldn't even buy it, And your stuff is not the stuff, your beef is not the beef you're finding at the store. It hasn't been through all the chemicals and all the processing and all of the hormones and all the steroids and just all the stuff, right? And man, you talk about a healthy, a healthy way to experience nature, so walk us through how do we get access to the beef? How do we get more access to you? Like, again, we'll put all this stuff in the show notes, but just where can we connect with you?
Yes. So Instagram is probably where I hang out the most. So at Life on Folsom Farm, you'll get a little piece of it all on there. We also have our beef page. My brother and sister-in-law run all of the fulfillment, sales side, marketing of our beef business, which is another piece of like my vision that came to life. Like such a crazy story, but they run all of that. So they do an incredible job of education and sharing what's going on, like life on the farm. All of that stuff is on our beef page at Folsom Farm Beef. So if you go to my Life on Folsom Farm, it's linked up to everything else. But if you want to go directly to like our website, it's just folsomfarmbeef.com, and that has our story, like our practices, how we raise the cattle, a little bit about all of that stuff, and then obviously the shops you can order. We ship nationwide every single Monday. But it's been such a cool thing to see come to fruition, because it all came about because of a mastermind. We were at a mastermind with a bunch of really rad leaders in all different industries. And we were talking about things and kind of like next, what's the next opportunity? What's the next thing you want to do? And subscription boxes came up, and I was like, that's interesting. And then I was thinking about our beef stuff and whatever. I'm like, what if we could do subscription boxes for our beef? Like what would that look like? What would that take? And I was like, I definitely could not take on another business. I could not fulfill that. I wouldn't want to. And the inkling came up like, well, what if my brother and his wife could? Because they were in Utah. They've always wanted to move to Idaho. He didn't love his job there, but they were kind of just stuck. There was no jobs for him here. And I'm like, what if we could build this to the point where we could hire them to come on full time? They could take it over. We could do the beef. They could do the sales, all that stuff. And now here we are, like doing it. And it gives me goosebumps, because that is the power of like, you get to dream big, and you get to have the ideas, and you get to create stuff, and other people's goals and dreams and things are within those. Like,
fit in there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so freaking cool. So our beef is just a reminder every single day that anything can happen. And we get to serve families all over and get them around the dinner table with delicious meat and things that they can be confident eating. So we love it. We love it.
Love it. Yeah, dream a dream that inspires you, dream a dream that inspires others, and then be humble enough and dream big enough that you allow other people to dream within your dreams. So you create an environment where other people can achieve their dreams, their goals within these ideas you have. Mike, it's literally what you and your husband are doing, and it's really, really cool to watch and experience. And to your point earlier, it's super motivating, to say, what, I want to help other people. I don't want this just to be something that helps me. I want to help other people as well. So yeah. I love this time. I love watching you on Instagram. It's like you guys are like living this like incredible, like this incredible life, with all the busyness of life. I feel like you guys are like able to slow down and bake the bread and spend the time. So just really appreciate you being on and being an inspiration to so many, including me.
Would love to be on. Thanks so much for having me.